The avoidant's most devastating moment doesn't arrive during the relationship or even during the initial separation. It comes later, in a singular moment of crushing clarity, when their psychological defenses finally crack open and they see exactly what they destroyed. This breaking point isn't dramatic or sudden. It builds slowly beneath their consciousness until it erupts with enough force to shatter their carefully constructed worldview about love, connection, and their own emotional patterns. The delayed grief hits like a tsunami. The breaking point often begins with delayed emotional processing that avoidants are notorious for experiencing. Weeks, months, or even years after pushing away genuine love, their suppressed feelings finally surface when they feel psychologically safe enough to experience them. But instead of the gentle waves of normal grief, they face a tsunami of accumulated emotion that has been building pressure behind their defensive walls. Their nervous system, no longer under the immediate threat of intimacy, finally allows them to feel the full weight of what they lost. The love they dismissed, the moments they minimized, the person they devalued, all of it floods their consciousness with overwhelming force. They experience every emotion they should have felt in real time, but couldn't allow themselves to process while in the relationship. This delayed grief carries a unique torture because it comes paired with the knowledge that it's too late. They aren't grieving a loss they couldn't control. They're grieving a destruction they actively caused. The pain is compounded by the awareness that they chose this outcome through their own fear and avoidance. They see their pattern with brutal clarity. The breaking point crystallizes when the avoidant suddenly recognizes their pattern across multiple relationships and realizes they're the common denominator in their own loneliness. This moment of self-awareness hits with devastating force. They see how they've repeatedly destroyed good things out of fear, how they've mistaken safety for isolation, how they've confused independence with emotional unavailability. Their psychological defenses, which once seemed like strength, are revealed as the prison they actually are. They recognize that their walls didn't protect them from pain. They guaranteed it. The very mechanisms they developed to avoid hurt have become the source of their deepest suffering. This clarity feels like watching themselves from outside their body, witnessing the systematic destruction they caused while being unable to change the past. They see their former partner's patience, their attempts at connection, their genuine love, and they see their own blind, terrified responses that pushed it all away. The comparison to current emptiness destroys them. The breaking point intensifies when the avoidant attempts to find the same depth of connection elsewhere and discovers it's impossible. They finally understand that what they destroyed wasn't generic or replaceable. It was rare, perhaps once-in-a-lifetime love that saw through their defenses and loved them anyway. Every new interaction becomes a painful reminder of what they had and discarded. They measure everyone against the person they lost and find them all lacking. The qualities that once terrified them, unwavering patience, unconditional acceptance, the ability to see their authentic self, are now the exact things they desperately crave but cannot find. Their current emotional landscape, which once felt like peaceful solitude, now reveals itself as barren emptiness. The freedom they thought they were protecting turns out to be isolation. The independence they cherished becomes loneliness they can no longer bear. The irreversibility sinks in. The final stage of the breaking point arrives when the avoidant fully comprehends that some doors, once closed, cannot be reopened. They realize their former partner has moved on, not out of anger or revenge, but out of self-preservation and growth. The person who once waited patiently for them to be ready has evolved beyond needing them at all. This irreversibility creates a specific kind of anguish, the knowledge that they finally understand what they needed to understand, finally feel what they needed to feel, but the timing renders it meaningless. They've arrived at emotional readiness only to find an empty room where love once waited. The breaking point leaves them fundamentally changed but tragically late, carrying the weight of understanding paired with the impossibility of redemption.